Hello FTC Alberta, it's Mitch Way, your first senior mentor here again, and today we're going to talk about CADing as a team. Now, at this point you've probably got a pretty good idea of what your robot wants to do. Maybe you've got some ideas out there, but it's time to actually put this together. Now, I'm hoping that everybody in this challenge is not trying to work alone. One of the worst things that you can do in a robotics build is to have a design team of one person. It's almost as bad as what I've experienced a couple times of having design teams of 0 people and you just build as you go. A program and a robot is always better if you can design it from the beginning. It works better most of the time. You can catch problems before they occur. You can build things without having to just throw things on the robot. It's just better that way. That's why you're all here, after all, is to do some CAD challenges and hopefully to do some team CAD challenges. So let's get started. I fired up Fusion 360 here. Fusion 360 is one of my favorite platforms for this kind of CAD. There are other versions that Autodesk releases as well as other companies. I know Onshape has a very similar platform to this, as does SolidWorks. I like Fusion 360 personally because it allows you to collaborate very easily. It's cloud-based. Now what that means is that as opposed to Autodesk's Inventor platform, which is on your desktop, in order to basically share things with that, you would need to download the full CAD files. You would then need to actually upload them. If you wanted to talk with somebody else on your particular CAD project, you may need to have a shared network drive. It was all just complicated. But what's come around in the last few years is the idea that the internet could solve those problems, and many of you have run into things like this. I know many of you doing schoolwork will frequently use things like Google Drive for your projects. And to be honest with you, Google Drive is a lot like Fusion 360 in how they look at things. I would say that Fusion 360 is to desktop CAD platforms what Google Drive is to something like Microsoft Word, the pre-365 version that was on your desktop. Now, in order to get your teammates on this, you're going to have to follow a few steps. First of all, we're going to start here and we're going to pop up our actual data panel. This is going to give us all the folders that you personally have access to. You'll also notice that you can actually click here and you can change this to be shared by me, owned by me, or pinned. And we'll talk about all those shortly. We're going to actually start a new project here. And I'm going to call mine FTC Alberta CAD Challenge. Since I made the CAD files, I have a lot of files that are actually named climbing high, so I'm not going to confuse myself there. Now, when we name something like this, names matter. Being able to find things matters in a CAD format, so I recommend that you use as descriptive of a name as possible. So if I'm doing this for my team, for 7277, I'm probably going to name this folder something like I did to our FRC project here, which is 2020 7277 Infinite Recharge Robot CAD. So for our CAD challenges, this might for you read your team number. Let's say Data Wolves 13,000 Alberta FTC CAD Challenges Climbing High. Something like that's very descriptive, and there's no chance for ambiguity. Naming things properly is important. Now, you'll notice that this one here, my 7277 Robot CAD, which is our full FRC robot from the 2020 season, it actually is floating at the top of the page, but it's not necessarily the first one in the alphabetical order. What I've done is I've pinned it. So if you just click your pin button here, you can actually move it so you only have your pinned things near the top of your page. That way you don't lose them. Now let's go into this CAD challenge and let's invite some people, or in this case one person. I've had a gracious offer from Samson from AC Robotics. He's going to help with some of the CAD and potentially some of the mentor side of things here to make sure that we have some really cool robots to show everybody as this next month or so goes along. And so we're going to add him to this project. How we're going to do that is we're going to go into this CAD challenge and we're going to go over to people. Now you'll notice that so far I'm the only person that is listed under the people. You'll have to find out who the people you're collaborating with, what their Autodesk account emails are, because that's what we require here. So I'm just going to go over and quickly grab his email address that he emailed me here. And I'm simply going to go paste this into my invitations. Now what's going to happen is Samson's going to actually get an email that is going to say, hey, do you want to join this CAD project? And when he does, what's going to happen is he is going to have access to this folder. Now right now there's nothing in this folder, so we're going to start to set it up so that we can have it ready for him when he finally gets here. If you're the CAD manager for your team, you're going to go through the same process and then invite the rest of your team members. So the very first thing is we probably do want a final robot CAD in here. So I'm going to start with this untitled document that just comes with Fusion 360, and I'm going to go File, Save. Now you notice that it automatically locates the FTC Alberta CAD challenges. That's good, okay? I'm going to call this Climbing High Robot Master, okay? Master is simply a reference to the fact that all of our subsystems are going to get uploaded to this one file. Now you'll notice that my name changes at the top, and you'll notice that the actual file shows up in the CAD folder here. Now, the main things that I like to do in here is I probably want to make sure I have some subfolders to work with here. So I'm going to create a new folder called Drive Base. Okay, I'm going to make a new folder called Gameball Subsystem. This way I know where everything is. I did spell that right. And lastly, and probably most importantly, I'm going to throw a new folder up here. New folder here. And I'm going to call it Part Files. Now, why would I want a part file folder? Okay, I'm just going to float into my part file folder. This is where I'm going to upload all my step files so I have stuff to work with in CAD. First of all, I'm going to do a custom parts folder. I can just call it custom parts. I don't have to be redundant like that. And then I'm going to just make a folder. I'm going to put some rev parts in here. I'm also going to put some Tetrix parts in here. I might also get fancy, maybe put some Servo Cities and Go Builda parts in here. An Andy Mark tile runner. Depends what your process is and what you feel like your team wants to build. So from here, anything I build custom obviously will go into the custom parts file. But if I go into my rev folder, I'm now going to have a chance to upload things. I'm going to click the upload button, and I'm going to get this menu. You can click and drag and drop, but I'm a little old school on this, so I'm actually going to go in here. Now, on my desktop, I have a folder called FTC CAD files. It's where everything lives. It's actually where all my stock step files also live. So I'm going to go to Rev. You'll notice that I've got all the Rev step files downloaded in a single folder, and yes, there are a lot of them. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to highlight all of them. That should have been the Shift key, not the Control key, and press Open. And now what's going to happen is it's going to show all of them and how big they are. From here, I'm going to click Upload. You're going to notice they're all going to start to upload and populate in the menu on the left here. This may take a couple minutes. In the meantime, I'm actually going to cut back into my file folder system, and I'm going to actually upload the Tetrix parts. This is going to give your team a good background as to what they have to work with. And if you're a team that's at a school where you only have access to Tetrix parts, it's probably a better idea to keep with the Tetrix parts. Likewise for Rev, likewise for Studica, or whoever you happen to have your parts from. If you're lucky enough to have major machining components, you may even have some custom step files in here of things you've built for your lab. Some teams frequently use things like drawer slides and other common parts that you might want to have some standardized CAD files for. And you'll see that they're all starting to upload, and I will actually start to have some of these to work with at some point here. But what that's going to do is it's going to allow us to keep everything in the same place. Anybody who's looking for a part will go to those part file folders, and when they're ready, they can click and drag those parts into each of the subsystems that other people in the team are working on. This is going to take a minute here, because obviously there's a lot of part files in that rev folder. And in the meantime, I'm just going to close this window down so I don't have to look at it. And I'm just going to go back to our CAD challenges. Now, the idea that we would have multiple drawings feeding into other drawings is something that's fairly important here. Fusion, unlike something like a Google Docs, is going to actually not play well with others if you're both accessing the file at the exact same time. That kind of makes sense. As I'm working with my file, I have to hit save every once in a while to make sure that data gets uploaded. And that is kind of something that we have to keep in mind. So having multiple people working on different subsystems is actually something that's kind of cool. I can be working on the shooter while my teammate is working on the intake, while another teammate is working on the chassis, as long as we agree on some basic parameters that we can work with. Now, obviously my computer's taken a while to upload all of these rev parts. Yours probably will too. So I recommend that you set this up and then go make yourself tea and enjoy, because it will take a little while. But once you've uploaded it once, it's done, and you have all of those files. You can work with those files, and you can actually make that whole team work. That's a part of the team process, just getting everybody into Fusion 360, getting them to a place where they can work. Everybody can create their own subsystem master. That's fine, their own document to work on that. And you can even roll some parts or assemblies, which is where you've put multiple parts together. You can actually roll them into each other and have something that updates itself fairly effectively. And yeah, that's all she wrote for this one. Cheers. There'll be another video sometime this week talking a little bit about the process of actually putting this stuff together in CAD, because clearly my browser at this point has frozen while it updates the rest of those rev parts. You can see it's updating about the fourth or fifth one right now, and isn't all the way through. So we'll build on this knowledge as the week goes on. Good luck with the beginning of your CAD process. CAD managers, I hope you get this together, and if you want to hit me up in Discord and ask any questions about this process or ask for some help, I would even welcome if anybody wants to invite me into their CAD process and into their CAD folders. You are more than welcome to, and I'm more than happy to give you feedback and help you out wherever I can. Cheers. Good luck with the CAD.